Oh my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. How are everybody doing today? Janice is getting in. She's getting in the frame here. Look at that. She's getting all ready. Welcome to the Talent Disconnect. I'm Whitney Hahn. I'm really just here for comic relief. But when I'm not doing this, I'm an advisor with Provoke Better Leadership and Management Consultants. My guest today is the legendary Janice Litvin, author and keynote speaker. Janice has already released 2 books, one called Banish Burnout Toolkit, the other one, Banish Organizational Burnout. And her new keynote relates directly to the topic we're talking about today, which is recruiting to retain in the age of AI. Janice, welcome.
Thank you so much, Whitney. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm excited as well. We have a really crisp, tight 30 minutes to talk about this problem today. But before we do that, I just want to make sure that we allow a little time for everybody to join the live stream. We're able to see the comments here on StreamYard, although there's a slight delay in your comment. So if you make a comment and we don't get to it right away, it's because there is that slight delay here. But I'm curious if you've joined us live, if you would put in the comments what your position is at the company that has you interested in solving this talent disconnect. Janice and I have a gentle woman's bet, if you will, about the makeup of today's audience. I think the foregone conclusion, Janice, from many people is that it's only human resources professionals that are tasked with and interested with solving the talent disconnect. But I have said, oh, no. This is a much broader problem than that. Yeah. This will relate also to CEOs, C-suite organizational leaders, and operations managers. I think we're seeing those are the sorts of folks that are more involved in it as well, or I would say at least should be. So go ahead and drop in the comment, if you don't mind, just what your title or your position is.
See anybody in it?
Well, according to my husband, we're not streaming. So
well, it takes a hot minute.
Okay.
No worries on that. Okay, as I wait for those to show up.
I wanted to add one thing, and that is you forgot my friends, the IT directors, because recruiting in tech is more complicated than ever.
Well, that's a good point. Are you saying that the IT directors are more involved from a selection process or just really the technical back end of how recruiting is happening right now?
I would just say from a general strategic direction, but their hiring managers are all very involved.
Oh, that's a good point. Okay, we're a little ahead of the topic, so save that, all right? Yeah. And let's go ahead and get into it a little bit. First of all, I need to make sure that we're properly framing this problem. This is now the 3rd major conversation I've had about hiring, recruitment, retaining this year. And even though I'm not an HR professional by training, I encounter this sort of problem every day when I'm working with my consulting clients. So what is wrong now, Janice? What has changed in the last year or 2, certainly in the last 5 years, that has made the way that we used to recruit not as effective today?
Well, I mean, let's start with something simple. The job descriptions were always written in such a bland way. You had a very short description of the company, very bland, very vanilla description. Then you had the job duties and the responsibilities, and most managers loaded up the responsibilities and the requirements with every perfection, nice to have. And so candidates didn't know if they should apply, and they really didn't have a feel for the organization.
Interesting. And just to quantify, if we can, why this is such an important financially, such an important problem to solve. Do you know what the latest stats say on what a bad hire will cost you or what turnover will cost the organization?
I don't have that on the top of my head, but I know that every time you have to replace a candidate, it can cost 50% to 200% of annual salary.
Yes, and that's what I've heard as well. Okay, so that is consistent. In fact, in some industries, in some very specific, perhaps tech is one of those interesting industries, for example, that it's even higher. It could be 3 to 5 times the salary of the individual that just left because they were a bad hire, perhaps, or because you didn't have good retention. And that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, a lot of lost productivity wrapped up into that as well. So, I want to reassure the audience today that we are going to tell you not just about what's wrong and what's broken, but some things that you can do to improve it. And we do want you to stick around if you are somebody who's responsible for hiring. So maybe you are an HR manager, maybe you're in the C-suite, maybe you're an operations manager, a tech manager. If you're leading a team or overseeing hiring in any way, shape, or form right now, this topic is for you because it will help you improve the candidates that you're filtering through and ultimately improve those that you invite to join your organization. You're going to get them off on the right foot. Yes?
Yes. And candidates are getting pickier, by the way. They're getting multiple offers and they're getting pickier. And so recruiting is a part of your sales process, or sales should be a part of your recruiting process.
I couldn't agree more, Janice. I like to think of it as recruitment marketing. And
Yes.
that is exactly what you're doing. You're marketing not just that position, but your company and what that candidate could achieve in their own life by joining your company.
Absolutely. Yes. And what they can contribute to your company.
Yeah, it's all of those things. That self-satisfaction, the career development, the quality of life that they may have in the community where your company is located, or if they're able to work remotely. Is that something that's attracted to them? There are a lot of things around it. Let me just pause for a brief little where's my correct asset? There we go. A little roadmap for what we're going to talk about today. The signals of the problem is what I'm going to into next with you, Janice. Then how to attract the talent you actually want. What role of, if any, and I think by the title we've betrayed the secret here that AI is having in killing trust. How your job description reeks of burnout. That actually might have been a more fun title to name this.
It
What your
reeks.
process says about your values. And finally, really what great hiring practices look like in 2025. So that's the roadmap for today. And let's get into it. As you think about the signals that are present in a workplace, there's really a disconnect in hiring. What would you say are some of those signals?
For the disconnect in hiring?
Yes.
Yeah, well, there's so many. When a candidate, I was just a few months ago coaching an AI engineer, recent graduate from Carnegie Mellon University, one of the top schools. She had all kinds of advantages and benefits on her resume. And she went to work for a large company you all know, which I won't mention. And she never talked to a human being till the actual day of the interview. It was all AI driven. And I understand for the company's point of view, if they're processing a lot of candidates, I understand the financial benefits of using AI, but you're turning off the candidates if a human never picks up the phone to talk to the candidate, whether it's for the logistics or pre-interviewing or whatever you want to call it. It's a huge turnoff.
And that's just one of the problems. I mean, certainly AI can be a help or it can be a hindrance, but I don't want to make the mistake of saying, well, just don't use AI and your recruitment will be fixed. That would be oversimplification, right? So what are some of the other signals that your recruitment processes are currently disconnected from what talent's actually looking for?
Well, talent is looking for a certain kind of culture, a certain kind of feel, if you will, from the organization. And if you're using pure AI, you're getting pure technical. You're just looking at the pure technical. But candidates are looking for culture. They're looking for purpose. They're looking for a company with a heart that has a semblance of well-being built into their culture. And we're still not seeing any of that in the recruitment process.
Okay. Welcome, Sam. Thank you for joining us from Missouri. Appreciate that. As we think about this talent disconnect then, Janice, and you've foreshadowed a few of these answers already, what are some of the ways that HR leaders should be doing things differently to become an attraction magnet for mission-aligned candidates with the right skill set and the right attitude that are like, yep, I don't just want a job, I want this job at this company, and I want it now. How does that happen?
First of all, I want to welcome my friend Sam Polly. Thank you so much for tuning in. Well, one thing that companies can do is some direct outreach on LinkedIn, just like we're streaming here. Get someone from HR and someone from the team, the hiring manager or one of the techs from the team, to run a little LinkedIn Live. What is it like to work for this company? Hey, why do you like working here? You've been here 5 years. Tell our audience what you love about working for this company. Tell the audience what a new candidate can expect, especially for the recent graduates and the emerging professionals. What are the benefits of working here? Tell them about the work itself. What are some of the kinds of projects they might have the opportunity to work on? Inspire them to want to apply.
Absolutely. I think a lot of when I think of this as recruitment marketing, any great marketing message for a product focuses on telling the user what this product will do for them, how it will make their life better. But for some reason, we tend to forget those things when it comes to recruitment marketing. We talk about what we, the employer, need. Must have this, must do that. We want this, we want that. We do this, we do that. And we leave the candidate out of their own adventurous, heroic story. We don't do that with products. But if we start to think about our company like products, what I'm hearing you say, Janice, is that mind shift immediately starts to change how we message this opportunity with our company. Is that right?
Yes. And what I think I'm hearing you say, Whitney, is purpose. Candidates are looking to align their goals with the overall purpose of the company. Let me give you a simplistic example. I had a client that was a large construction manufacturing firm. In their marketing, they very smartly communicated that they're not just building hospitals with the steel and the mortar and the bricks and all that. They're saving lives with all the technology they're putting into their hospital. So join us in saving lives for our hospital clients. That's a way to connect purpose.
That is incredibly important and a great example of how you can change the message to make the candidate the hero of their own story and connect them with something that makes them feel like they do have purpose and are able to contribute to something that's really meaningful. I mean, we so often spend more time at work than we do with our loved ones. We make some of the friends that we keep for our life at work. Sometimes we might meet our romantic partner at work. You know, there are reasons to get this right beyond what you see show up in the direct deposit paycheck every 2 weeks, correct?
And I want, and I want to add that you're talking, you mentioned the word story a few times, and I really want to talk about that a little bit. A company has a story. It's not just a building, and it's not just a bunch of robots sitting at desks, although sadly I see that that's going to come more and more. But the point is, a company has a heart, hopefully, and has a story. The employees have a story. The company has a million, depending on number of employees, stories about how employees have thrived, how the employer is taking care of their employees. For example, when an employee has a very sick relative, is someone from the company sending flowers? Are they saying, would you like to take some time off so you can support that poor Uncle Bill who had to move into your house? What is the company doing to show their heart and their love for their employees? Because really, all we need is love.
You should be a songwriter. Quick check-in with the discussion flow for today for those of us just joining the live stream. We're talking about the talent disconnect. Excuse me. And Janice and I have covered the first two in rapid succession already today, the signals that there is a disconnect and some real life advice for how to start to attract the talent you actually want. Now, here comes a bit of the boogeyman, the role, Janice, of HI in really killing the hiring buzz for so many people by killing some trust. Now, this is not the only deal breaker when it comes to a disruption of trust, but I think AI has made it worse for many companies who are using it poorly. How are you seeing it show up?
Well, actually, I did a little background research and I had met someone at a Rutgers event. I was a coach for some Rutgers MBS students, but that's another story.
Name drop much? Okay, go ahead.
I love Rutgers. I love my school, University of Texas at Austin. Hook 'em horns for all of you Longhorns out there. But oddly, and this surprised me, there is some inherent bias inadvertently built into the AI search selection. For example, apparently, according to my friend who's doing this research, females and males write differently, and AI is inadvertently picking up more male resumes than female resumes. That's one random example, but there are many other biases built into the AI selection. I know a lot of you employers are using AI for the sourcing part of it, so that's something that you really need to look at.
Oh, that's incredible. I did a webinar earlier this year on specifically using HI, not just for recruitment, but also to help expedite onboarding and retention and really set people up for success for their first, from job ad to year one sort of thing. So that information is available. You can watch the replay, get some free downloads with starter prompts for free at provokebetter.com/HR roundtable. You can see that at the bottom of your ticker if you want to pick that up, because you're right. There are ways that are getting it right and ways that are getting it wrong. When you are talking about burnout and you are talking about the AI plus HI conversation, which we're hearing a lot more of, AI, artificial intelligence, plus HI, human intelligence, how do you keep the human in the equation?
Well, it's funny. While I was preparing for our LinkedIn Live today, and I know we're streaming on other platforms, I had a little bit of inspiration and I played with a script for a job description. And so tell me what you think of this.
Okay.
Exciting startup seeking go-getters who want a fast-paced environment where they have the freedom to wear many hats and the opportunity to work on a variety of interesting projects. You are able to thrive under pressure.
You know what? I think your job description smells like burnout.
Absolutely. This reveals a culture that normalizes overwork. And by the way, with all the literature and communication in the world these days about burnout and not overworking and overwhelming your employees, I see it. I see overwork alive and well. One of my best friends' son-in-law took an internship at a high-end VC firm this summer doing data analytics, and he was working minimum 12 hours a day, and he said that's just the way it is.
Ouch.
Very big ouch.
That is rough.
I'm afraid that's more pervasive than we think.
So in the job description example that you read, the keywords for me that triggered burnout in my brain were things like high-paced environment.
Yeah.
Work on a variety of tasks.
Yeah.
I think we're unintentionally signaling these things in our language. Now, to be fair, if that really is the expectation of this work environment, if it's a startup, for example, those are notoriously pressure cookers. They just are. So in one way, if you don't talk about that, you're being untrue to the work environment, to the culture and the expectation of what that candidate would experience, in fact, if they join that. But in other cases, we're using these keywords that don't accurately reflect what it's like to work at our company. So do you have a way that you can make sure that you're not unintentionally letting language signal things that aren't true for your company?
Wow, that's such a good question. First of all, one idea I have just listening to you is have some individual contributor people in a traditionally high pressure department pre-screen your job descriptions.
Yeah.
Putting themselves in the shoes of the candidates. And by the way, for candidates, remember that you are interviewing the company as well as the company is interviewing you. And it's upon you, it's your burden to ask the questions about what is the culture like? Can I talk to some of the other people that would be on the team that I would work for? I want to get to know what it's like to work at this company and what the what the culture is.
I think that's a great way to do it. To that, I would add, if you are somebody who's in charge of hiring at your company and you're not periodically checking to see what other employees have said about your company on sites like Glassdoor,
Yes.
do that. You
Yes.
need to know, right?
Yes.
And admittedly, sometimes it's only the disgruntled employees who are leaving comments on Glassdoor, but it's still an insight. You can still gain valuable information about it. An example from my work as a consultant, one of my earliest projects in this type of position was working with a company on recruitment. And I did the Glassdoor audit. And I said, do you realize that many people in making comments on this have said they don't have a career path forward at your company?
Mhm.
And the company administrator is like, well, yes, they do. We do this, we do this, we offer that, we do this. I'm like, well, apparently they didn't know about it. So you're
Yeah.
only talking about it at your senior leadership retreats. One of the things you need to do is see, make sure that that's more relevant. Now I'm jumping ahead to more retention type issues, but Glassdoor can be a great way to get that 360 review, one of many tools to use to help you see what is
Mhm.
how are your newest employees touching this company and really experiencing it.
And yes, and
Somebody
you
took improv class.
yeah. You can send around a 1 or 2 question survey once a week, once a quarter, once a month. Ask your employees what it's like to work here. I love working here. I kind of like working here. I'm looking for another job, and make it anonymous just so you can track the numbers. I hate it here. My boss is a terrible non-communicator. And start to look at what Gallup talks about in terms of what are the key drivers of burnout: lack
Yeah.
of control, lack of support from manager, overwhelm and overwork we already talked about, unreasonable demands,
Yep.
and not asking the candidates as their workers, how are you doing? What do you need from me as a manager? What resources do you need from me? Are managers taking their team out to lunch? Are they spending, again, we've jumped over into the retention discussion, but are managers spending time with their employees? Are they asking them, how's it going? I once had the world's best boss. I call him the world's best boss. His name is Frank. I'm still friends with him to this day. We got together. Well, first of all, we spoke every day because we had a very tight team, but we also went out to lunch as a small group. We knew he had our back in every single way at work.
It's so important too. Time and time again, the research says employees don't quit bad jobs so much as they quit bad managers.
Right.
And then if you drill down into, well, how do employees know if you're a bad manager or not? So much of it comes down to that interaction and that communication and feeling like the employee is listened to by their manager, even if their manager disagrees. I know that my best relationships with my employees when I'm the senior leader have been with employees who are not, in fact, yes men or, but those who provide loyal opposition, as we like to call it, that give me good ideas, that give me professional challenges. And that's when we get the best work done. And that, to get back to the talent disconnect, that is what I think people are looking for. I want to do my best work in this company, in this environment, with this team, including the manager. That's what makes somebody stick. Okay. You know what this is? That's the 5-minute whistle. That's the 5-minute whistle. So let's just go ahead and bring it home to what great recruiting should look like in 2025. You've given a few tips along the way, including making sure that from the moment you put a job ad out, that it is reflective of the position, that it demonstrates to the candidate how they can be successful at their company, whether that's professional growth or personal lifestyle or something else that they're looking for in addition to compensation that's reasonable for the marketplace. You've talked about how AI can sometimes include unnecessary bias in job descriptions, or if used properly, it might help you filter out for biases you didn't know was in your language so that your job description does not reek of burnout and future disappointments. So what else does someone need to know if there's a leader listening and they want to stand out over the next 6 to 12 months in what I've heard people call an employer's market and snag the absolute highest quality, high performing talent? What should they be doing right now?
They should be communicating with clarity for every step of the way, from the written job description to the communication, whether you're using social media. And by the way, I hope hiring managers and their team are communicating on LinkedIn and recruiting their friends to join the company, because people like to hire someone they are pretty sure is going to work out. And if one person is doing really well, their peers and colleagues will probably do well also. And so the outbound communication on social media is really, really crucial. Not just paying for job posts on LinkedIn or LinkedIn Recruiter, but actually communicating with people, one-on-one communication, and other ways to broadcast personal posts from team members about, hey, friends, we're looking. My team is looking. I'm allowed to submit people directly, where you can skip the big recruiting engine, the HR department. I can submit resumes to get you started in the conversation directly to my boss. Everybody, just send me a note and let me know you're interested, and we will pick up the ball and take it from there, to use a basketball reference.
And I love that idea too, because I think that when we're thinking about the human connection, our minds immediately go to the recruiter, the hiring manager, the person, the operations manager who may be interviewing me. But we can forget that those networks that we have, those referral sources, can be very, very valuable as well. So make sure that your resume is tuned up. Make sure that if you're the job hunter, make sure that your references are ready, and see about using that network. And if you're the recruitment officer, yes, engaging your workforce to say, hey, if you love it here, why don't you invite somebody who you admire, who you appreciate, who you would like being in the trenches with, to join you here, and we can fast track application consideration. It's not a guarantee, but let's fast track some consideration, because that's what you do for friends, right?
Yes. And I love your phrase. Let's fast track the process. Don't make them, I've over the years, I've heard a million times from my 20-year career as a recruiter, I've heard a million times where people say, well, I submitted my information. I even wrote a cover letter, and I never heard from anybody. That is unconscionable. And if that is still happening, you need to clean up your process. In the very least, your ATS, your applicant tracking system, or whatever you're using, should shoot out an email or text, because the Gen Zs like texting, as you probably know, and let them know, we've received your paperwork. We will be in touch.
Definitely.
Communication is really, really key.
Yeah. If you're sending out, hey, we considered your application, but the position's been filled 3 months after you filled the position and you never otherwise communicated with that person, like, why are you even bothering? Nobody's happy with that. Yeah.
And be clear about what your true expectations are. And during the interview process, be really clear about how it's going. And I can't stress this enough. Make sure your hiring managers know how to interview. And even if they're techie introverts, teach them some really critical, not those age-old behavioral interviewing questions, but some human connection points to make sure that the candidates feel comfortable to share their stories.
Great tips all the way around. My goodness, that half hour flew by, my dear, just flew by. As we close out from today, what parting words of wisdom would you give to the HR managers, to the CEOs, to the operations managers who say, I need great talent, I want great talent, what do I do? What's the one takeaway you want from today?
Remember that recruiting is a human process. Remember the humans. It's like remember the Alamo. Remember the humans.
While you're remembering the humans, I certainly hope that you remember the humans here today. Janice Litvin, thank you so much for joining me for the Talent Disconnect. You can connect with Janice on Facebook, on LinkedIn. LinkedIn happens to be my preferred network, so our connection names are at the bottom here. So please connect with us on social media channels, and certainly share this live stream. The recordings will be available. Share it with somebody in your hiring process who needs to hear this, who needs to help fill your workplace with strongly qualified, mission-aligned people who don't just want a job, they want this job at this company. Janice,
Thank
thank
you
you
so
again
much.
so much.
Thank you so much, Whitney.
I just love the music.